Hello and welcome to the DMR Bikes workshop. Today I'm going to take you through how to service the V12, the V12 mag and the Volt pedals. They're all incredibly similar internally the way they work, so I'll take you through step by step how to replace the bearings and give them a general overhaul. To do this you are going to need a few tools. A pedal spanner or a 15mm spanner. I have a nice Design pedal spanner here. If you don't have a nice Design pedal spanner, you can simply use a 15mm spanner from anywhere you wish to get one from. A rubber mallet. Now please make sure this is a rubber mallet. When we service the pedals you'll see why, but if you use a metal hammer you will damage the pedal, so please make sure you're using a rubber mallet. Torque wrench. With the torque wrench you're going to need one of two bits. 10mm bit if you're working on the V12 or the V12 mag pedal, or an 8mm bit if you're working on the Volt pedals. You also need a 6mm Allen wrench. This Allen wrench is obviously on a multi-tool, but if you have a loose one, absolutely fine. Just please make sure it's a 6mm Allen wrench. The last tool you'll need is the V12, V12 mag and Volt pedal servicing tool. This is a bespoke tool which we've made ourselves. It makes servicing these pedals really easy. If you want to pick one of these up, you can do so from your local DMR bike stockist, or they may even have this in their toolbox in the shop. If they have, they might charge you a few quid just to do this job, but it's so quick and easy, it will only be a few pounds to you. You also need the parts that you're going to replace. In both the Volt and the V12 pedals, they have a cartridge bearing, but these cartridge bearings are different depending on the Volt or the V12. The V12 cartridge bearing has a bearing number of 608 RS. The Volt cartridge bearing has a bearing number of 686 ZZ. There's quite a big difference in size between these bearings. Both the Volt and the V12 use the same DU bush which sits on the crank side of the pedal. Now these bushings are DU1 4F bushings. Both the Volt and the V12 have seals inside them. Now you probably can get away with just cleaning up the seals and reusing them. However, if you wish to replace them, we have these. That's not a problem at all. All the bearings and the seals are available from any DMR bike stockist. However, if you want to go down to your local bearing supplier, quote them the bearing numbers I've given you, they will be able to supply those. But just note, the seals you will need to get from a DMR bike stockist, and they're in ready supply. A quick note before we start servicing the pedals, we're going to be working on the left hand pedal. The left hand pedal and the right hand pedal have a slight difference internally. Internally you'll find a lock nut. Now in the left hand pedal, that lock nut uses a standard thread. Now by that what I mean is to tighten the nut you'll need to tighten it clockwise, and to untighten the nut you'll need to untighten it anti-clockwise. The right hand pedal uses a reverse thread on that nut. By that what I mean is when you're tightening it you need to tighten it anti-clockwise, and when you're untightening it, you'll need to untighten it clockwise. So just to confirm, reverse thread nut in the right hand pedal, tighten it anti-clockwise, untighten it clockwise. Left hand pedals, standard thread, tighten it clockwise, untighten it anti-clockwise. We'll get to that stage in just a few moments. So to start, on both the V12 and the Volt pedals, all you need to do to start with is remove the end cap. You can hold the pedal body and use a 6mm Allen wrench. Undo it. Once you've got it going, you'll be able to remove it with your fingers. Now put this to one side. Once you've got it out, keep it somewhere clean. You probably need to give it a bit of a clean up, because there might be a little bit of grime in there. Make sure it's somewhere safe. Once you've got to that stage, you can see the internals of the pedal. You can see the nut I just mentioned and the sealed bearing behind it. So what we need to do is actually remove the nut to begin with. Again, I'm working on the left hand pedal, so I'm going to undo this anti-clockwise. Take your pedal spanner or your 15mm spanner, whichever you have, and and undo that nut, left hand pedal anti-clockwise. Once you've got it slightly undone, you can undo that just with the socket in your fingers. The nut will come away. Now I find it's good to leave that nut in the socket. It means you know where it is, you're not going to lose it, and it's not going to roll under the bench and you'll be hunting around for it for hours to keep it in the socket. Once you've got that undone and off, you'll see behind it just the thread of the axle and the cartridge bearing. At this stage the pedal is completely undone. You can now remove the axle by simply holding the pedal body, holding the axle and pulling them apart. The axle may need a bit of cleaning up. Clean it up and put it somewhere safe. Behind there you will now see the seal and the DU bush. What I'm going to do first is just remove the cartridge bearing from the pedal body by using the axle I just pulled out. If you slide it in a little bit off centre and just give it a little tap, out comes the cartridge bearing. We're servicing the pedals, which probably means your cartridge bearing has seen better days, so throw that away. Probably want to fit a new one of those. You don't have to, but it'll probably be a good idea. On the other side of the pedal, opposite side from where the cartridge bearing just came out of, you'll see the seal and the DU bush, just like we said. The seal in there is usually in pretty tight. Get something like a 6mm wrench and just give it a little bit of a pry and it should come away. Again, you can clean this up and reuse it if it's in good condition, otherwise replace it with a new one. Now behind that you can see the DU bush. It's sat in there, it looks like a plain bore. You might not think there's a bearing in there at all, but there is one in there. And to remove this, we're going to use the new DMR pedal tool. The tool itself has two ends to it. There's a stepped end, which we use for fitting DU bush, and behind this cap we unscrew, you'll find a threaded rod. Now what I'm going to do is take the tool. You'll find on the sides of the tool there are two flat edges. These flat edges are designed to go into a vise. If you clamp the flat edges into a vise and make sure it's nice and secure, and take the pedal body. Now remember, you are going to be putting this into the DU bush, so make sure you're putting the threaded rod into the DU bush end. Put the pedal body onto the rod and turn it clockwise. The threaded rod is now cutting a thread into the DU bush. And what this means is the DU bush is now completely and utterly useless. You do need a replacement one. You cannot reuse this bush when you've got to this stage. So now what you need to do is pull the pedal body away from the tool which is clamped in the vise. To do that, use the rubber mallet. This is why we had a rubber mallet, because I'm going to tap the pedal body until it pulls away from the bush. If I was using a metal hammer, it would damage your pedal. And there you go, simple as that. Put the pedal body to one side, and you're left with the tool still in the vise. The DU bush is remained on the threaded rod. Take the bush off the threaded rod. This bush, as I said, is now completely useless. If you look inside it, you'll see there's thread cut into the bush. You can't use that, so throw that in the bin. You will need a new one. Now you need to remove the tool from the vise and replace the cap you took off from the removal side of the tool. The fitting side of the tool, as I mentioned, has a shoulder on it. It's stepped. Now the step is a perfect fit for the DU bush. If you slide it on, you'll notice it fits perfectly and shoulders up against that step. Take the pedal body and make sure you're putting it in the right end. The cartridge bearing end is a big thread, you can't mistake it, so you want to go on the opposite side. Just gently rest it on there. Take your rubber mallet once again and give it a tap. There's a shoulder in the pedal body, so you can't put it in too far. It's very easy to go in, especially with the fitting tool. Have a quick look inside just to make sure 100% it's in properly. Run your finger around it maybe just to make sure it's flush. It should be very easy to do that. Your seal, take your new seal and push it in on top of the DU bushing. Now the seal itself on the V12 pedal has a small concave centre. Make sure that concave centre is facing towards you when you're looking into the pedal. That's the way it should be fitted. Opposite side, now we're just going to replace the cartridge bearing. Really easy to do this. Take the cartridge bearing and pop it in till it goes right to the bottom. Take your axle, which you've cleaned up, and slide that through, firstly through the DU bush side. Take your socket, which has got the nuts within it. Now again, we're working on the left hand pedal, so I'm tightening this up clockwise. Thread it on there most of the way with your fingers. Then take your torque wrench. Hold the axle still with your pedal spanner, or your 15mm spanner, whichever one you have. And tighten this down to between 5 to 7 Newton meters. Your torque wrench will tell you when that's tight enough. I've got mine set to the maximum of 7, so if I do that now, you can see that's properly torqued. At this stage, the axle is still not 100% secure within the pedal. It will move a little bit. There's nothing unusual about this. The whole pedal is now held together with the end cap, which you've previously cleaned up. Screw that in. You can do that most of the way with your fingers. And once it's most of the way down, use your 6mm Allen wrench, hold the pedal body and tighten that up hand tight. The end cap secures the entire thing together. It will not move from side to side now or up and down. You've got new bearings and bushings in there. That's a totally serviced pedal. That's the left hand V12. As I said, the right hand one, I'll quickly show you. I won't go through the entire servicing steps, but I'll quickly show you this. The right hand one tries to undo the nut. I'm undoing it clockwise, just to emphasise the point. When you tighten that back up, you're tightening it anti-clockwise. Just to note onto the volt pedals, exactly the same steps, so I'm not going to bore you by going through it all over again, but if we undo the volt simply the same way as we did the V12. Now, the volt doesn't have a pedal spanner fitting on the crank side. It has a 6mm Allen wrench fitting. So hold that there. you'll be able to undo the little nut. Again, left hand pedal, anti-clockwise to undo. Off it comes. Quick note, on the volts, inside you see there is a little tiny washer. Don't lose this washer, you'll need to replace it on top of the cartridge bearing when you get to that stage. Also to note with the volts, there's the bearing out. To put the new bearing in, all you need to do to get this one in, it's a little bit different, is if you pop it in, like that, it usually doesn't go all the way to the bottom, but if you take the end cap, again, without anything else in the volt pedal, so no axle, no lock nut, no nothing, take the end cap, once you put the bearing in there, wind that in, just 6mm Allen wrench, gets a bit stiff towards the end, and then finally it marries to the shoulder. But that's the volt pedal. It just takes a little bit of a push with the end cap, and once you've fitted the cartridge bearing, take the end cap back out, and then that's properly put in there. Fitting the DU bush is identical to the V12, so just follow those steps with the DU bush and you'll be fine. Reverse engineer, put that back in, put the washer on. Like I said, don't forget the little washer. Pop your nut in, which should still be in your little socket. Hold it with your 6mm Allen wrench. Tighten. 7 Newton meters. End cap back on. And that's done. That's the only difference between V12 and the volt pedal, is the fact you do need to give a bit of encouragement for the seal bearing to go into the seal bearing side. Don't forget that the right hand pedal, just like the V12 on the volt, both the volt and the V12 right hand pedals use a reverse thread lock nut. Keep emphasising it, but we get a lot of people stripping it out, so just remember that. That's it. That's as simple as it is. The new tool from DMR is available to do that. It makes this job really easily. Again, you can get that from any DMR bike stockist. If you find a shop with one in their toolbox, it'll only cost you a few quid for them to do the job for you. I hope this was helpful. Any questions, give us a ring at DMR, which is 01403 711 611, or give me an email, which is technical@dmrbikes.com, and we hope to see you on the trail real soon.